Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another day of the 17th annual Transforming the Teaching and Learning Environment virtual conference. Bob Hales, I'm your presenter. I'm your moderator. We have with us George Henshaw. He's the Assistant Dean of the MS-IDT program at Los Angeles Pacific University, specializing in integrating AI technologies to enhance education and leadership development. Over 15 years of experience, he's an expert in designing scalable learning solutions and creating innovative AI-driven learning tools. So he's going to talk about designing AI course assistant learning. George, it's all yours.
Awesome. Thanks, Bob. Well, welcome everybody. Glad you're here, and we're going to dive into AI course assistance this morning. And feel free to, I'll be asking questions as well so we can kind of dive in and look at this together because AI course assistants for active learning are incredibly helpful. We've had them at LAPU now for almost 2 years, and they've made a big difference in retention. They've made a big difference in student outcomes, and the way we built them is a little bit different than some people actually think. So we'll be able to go in, take a look at them, see how they work, play with them, try to trick them, and just see how they interact with individuals because as we know, active learning really helps to build um, durable learning. And when we have that durable learning, then we can use it in creative ways to solve some really complex issues. And I don't think there's any issues that people are facing now that are not complex. Pretty much everything is complex, which is kind of interesting. And like I said, I'm George Hanshaw, the Assistant Dean for the MS-IDT program at LAPU. So let's get started. So do if for asynchronous online courses, synchronous courses, face-to-face courses, active learning really works. Does anybody here, you can use the chat or just use the microphone and just tell me, have you used active learning within your courses, within your programs? Does anybody have any experience with that? And how has it worked for you? Let's go ahead and see that because active learning, so just jump in whenever you'd like and add to it because active learning matters because it creates that durable learning. So let's do a quick exercise, and this came from Stephen Kosling, who's actually one of the main authors within the realm of active learning. And think about yesterday. So everybody do me a favor. You could write in the chat or come off the microphone if you like. But um, ooh, Erica, yes, I use it online, face-to-face writing course that really helps. It does. It's almost the magic potion to help learning really stick better, make a durable learning. So Stephen Kosling, he always asks us one question, so I want to ask it here too. I wish I came up with it. But how much of yesterday did you purposely set out to remember? How much of yesterday did you say, I am going to remember X, Y, and Z? Throw that in the chat or come off because most of the time it's not much. Like yesterday, my intent to purposefully, when I woke up and I did not say I'm going to purposely memorize this. Yeah, not much, very little for Monica. And I didn't think anything, Erica, I'm with you. I didn't try to memorize anything or remember anything from yesterday. Your grocery list, think that's a good one. Um, I've had this one thing on my grocery list that I have continually forgotten for about 2 weeks now, so that'll be a good reminder for me to go do it. My readings for my online program, so very specific things. But now, how much of yesterday do you actually remember? Give me a percent. So probably, like I probably remember 50 plus percent of what I did yesterday, a fairly large percent. And that's the important crux of active learning. And we're going to touch on that in just a second. So, how much, go ahead and throw it in the chat. How much of yesterday do you actually remember? Probably have some people 75%. Yeah, absolutely. 70. Yeah, that's a good solid number. And why do we 70 to 80 with Lisa, Erica 75? And that's because when learning is actually a byproduct, learning is a byproduct of our activity, of our action. So that's why active learning is so important. When we engage with the content, so when we engage and we wrestle with it, do whatever we need, um, we actually remember more because the memories is a byproduct of activity with engagement. And I know learning is not just memory, but we have to remember it to be able to use it, right? So even the higher orders of learning too is a byproduct of our activity with it. Think about when you were a kid learning to do just about any activity. You didn't learn to do it by reading the directions on how to ride a bike. You learn to do it by riding a bike. So we learn those things we don't know how to do by doing them. Is kind of in a nutshell of what we're thinking. And that's why active learning is so powerful because it's that byproduct. So we're constantly learning, making those networks within our brain. So when it comes to adding AI now into our courses, because AI is an incredible way to create active learning opportunities for students that are very repeatable and consistent. So who are you here? Are you this person? We can call him what shall we call him? The skeptic? Or we have this individual right here, the that's not even a skeptic. He's angry about the change. He doesn't want it to happen. He says, no, not happening. Or this individual that is like, okay, bring it, let's go. Where are you within that realm of utilizing AI within your coursework? Because this person here probably thinks, oh, it's cheating. If you're using AI, you are cheating. This person is, I'll take a back seat. I'll think about it later. And this person is like, oh my goodness, let's go 100%. It's already in. Let's super excited. All right. LFG, I'm in too. Okay, I'm around, I'm amongst my people. Oh, skeptical and excited. Okay, a skeptic, awesome. We have to have skeptics in the world to balance to balance because if we're not skeptic, if we're all thinking the same, then somebody's not thinking, oh, I'm in, willing to learn more. I love this. This is fantastic. Okay, so as we're looking at that and as we're thinking, here's the big Rebus puzzle. So what does our Rebus puzzle tell us here? What's the big takeaway from that? So you have 10 seconds. Go ahead and put it into the chat session here. And it is we're going to solve that Rebus puzzle. And what shall it be? What is it going to be? AI is not our goal. AI doesn't always score. Okay, I like that one. I like that one. Kelsey got it. Aaron comes in with a nice second of AI. AI is not the goal. Yeah, AI is not the goal. Never has been, never will be the goal. But what it does for us is it gives us some really good tools for us to be able to meet our goals. It's our responsibility to focus on things that matter, focus on the metrics that matter. And what are some of those metrics that matter to you? And the reason why I'm asking that question is because we're going to connect them. The goal is not perfect. They will fail sometime. The goal is not perfect. They will fail sometimes. Outstanding. Yes. Um, AI will fail. I will fail. We will all fail at some point, which is good. Um, so what are some metrics that you're looking at to have these AI course assistants help you within active learning? And from my perspective, I'm looking at outcomes. I'm looking at creativity of the assignments, of the projects that students are turning in. Those are my focus, and also retention as well, because I'd be very reluctant not to think about retention because we can't make those transformative learning experiences if nobody's in the class, right? It's just not good. We could have the best class in the world. If nobody attends, it has zero effect. So those are the points that I try to focus on. If anybody else is focusing on anything different, please feel free to put it right there in the chat. And the big question is we use AI assistants for teaching assistants, and we use AI assistants for specific active learning activities such as Think, Pair, Share, and we'll look at those here in a moment. And when we do that, the first thing that we did to create our assistants is what makes a human teaching assistant effective? What are some of those characteristics? So put in the chat what you think those characteristics are for you. What makes that human TA, that human teaching assistant, effective? And then we're going to connect that with the uh, assistants. They say don't call them bots because they're not bots, but they are assistants. And we're going to connect that and create the actual personality through the prompt writing, which is incredibly important. So my favorite teaching assistants were always upbeat. They didn't just give me an answer. We talked through processes, we talked through content, and that made a huge difference as we did that. Erica says knowledgeable, gives students individual attention, cares about student success, and they're motivated. Yeah, absolutely. William, the ability to convey empathy and other emotions, that's a big deal. Empathy goes a long way with a lot of our students. Angela, knowledge, disposition, skills, consistent, motivated, experienced, absolutely 100%. That is what we want. So all of these, whoops, I'm clicking too fast and furious. We already answered that, sorry. So it comes under the knowledge. We want them knowledgeable. And that persona, everybody had some piece of that persona, empathetic, upbeat. What were some other thoughts that were on that? Consistent, motivated, empathy, uh, motivated again, cares about students. So that's how we want to create our assistants. And the one thing that's helpful is our assistants are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And they're consistent once we build them. They have a consistent output, even though they're generating, because they are GPTs, they're generating their own content from what we trained them on. They're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and their outputs are very consistent. And we make them consistent through the use of our prompts. And prompt writing is probably one of the biggest things, which it's simple. You don't need to be a prompt engineer. Remember when GPTs came out and everybody wanted to be a prompt engineer? Prompt reading is incredibly important. And this, for a general GPT, here's the prompt formula right here. You want what role are they going to be? The context in which they're going to operate, your expectations. So are they going to be like when I use ChatGPT, one of the expectations, and I'll say, and created in .xlsx file or .docx file or whatever it might be, any sources that you have, and the overall intended goal for the assistant. What do you want? So that if you kind of follow that prompt formula and then adjust as you go, it will be very successful. And that's how we started. We created a prompt, tested, adjusted, adjusted. All right. So from that, here is the course assistant demo. Would you like, so here I was hoping to give a lot of demos showing how it works and showing what it can do also as far as how it was built. So let me Let me share out the demonstration bot that we have. Any questions before I open up the on the content that we did before I open up and we start looking at the assistance? Any questions before we do that? We'll take a moment to answer those. No, okay, well, I'll go ahead and we'll just share out and we will run with this. So we partnered with Nectar. That's who our partner is to create these bots. We also use things from Character AI, multiple, no, well, Character AI and really Nectar are the two places. Character AI, we'll look at one of those later where it's an active learning situation. But here, this is a history course. So these are all the courses that we have course assistants in. And we can pick any of these, and because this is a live demo, something's not going to work, right? So we already said that something will fail. And I don't know if History 204 is complete because this is the latest one that we created. So I'm just going to ask it a question. So what is my first assignment? And then they engage. Oh, doesn't have any information. So that one's not trained yet. Sorry about that. Let's go into History 240 because, as I said, that was the first one that we did. What is my first assignment? Hopefully, this one's been trained. Hello, happy to help you. Your first assignment involves analyzing, synthesizing provided resources, responding to assignment prompts, and summarizing resources. You also need to explore the impact of immigration on a captain of industry's business and pattern of urban growth in the 19th century. Oh, would you like to begin to learn more? So even with our assistants, notice it's Socratic in nature. So we're beginning to create that active learning. Now we're getting a back and forth because I'm about to be interacting with that piece of content. Um, oh, is that a university subscription? Is it free to students? Is that a university subscription? Thanks, Deborah. Just notice that question. Yes, we pay Nectar a subscription. We do not pass it along to the student cost. So it is. I forget the cost of it, but I can connect you with Nectar. And if anybody would like to try some of these assistants just to see how they work, I can give you access to ours for a couple weeks with no issue. Just email me um, after we're done here. But it is a subscription for them. It's cheaper than if we did like ChatGPT or something like that. I do know that, but I don't know the exact cost. So what do we want to learn here? So we're going to go back and forth. What would you like to learn about more? Let's say I'm a brand new student. I don't know much of anything. I'll say, okay, so um, I need to know more about what a captain of industry is. And then it'll come and we'll go back and forth. And what we've noticed just with these assistants, the average back and forth is like 7.2 times. So the average individual will interact 7 times with this, and that means they're driving their knowledge deeper and deeper and deeper. And that's important because the more that students have engaged with just this assistant, not even the interactive uh, assistants we're going to look at in a moment for active learning, their GPA, their outcome is statistically significant. So it went from an average of 2.7 for those without to a 3.2 with. And notice it's not doing the assignment for me. It can't. We have it blocked to be able to do that. Oh, okay. So they can just go back and forth with that. And we have how many minutes the student spends. Oh, I do not have the minute data. I just have the interaction data. The minute data would be good good to have as well. Yeah, now you have me curious too now, Deborah. So this is how we built it. So take a look. We have history 420. Knowledge, what knowledge did we give it? Okay, it's allowed to go into its large language model and get topic knowledge, but it's also trained on everything that we've put into the course. We never put in copyrighted material. We stay well away from that. We create a lot of the content for our courses, so that is absolutely acceptable to be in there. And so we train it with all of that so it knows exactly. The reason why it knew the first assignment is because it has the syllabus. And this is the key here for the prompt. Notice we have hashtag instructions, primary directive. So that's telling you what do we want it to do. It's an upbeat, encouraging course assistant for a course called History 420, United States History and Constitution, which is about exploration of the United States history from pre-colonization until the Industrial Revolution. And then it goes on to that. Then here's how it's supposed to act, how to approach the learner. Notice these hashtags and asterisks are important. The hashtags make it important. 3 is like a top heading, then we go 2 and 1. And that's how it prioritizes what it's going to do. Start by introducing, only ask one question at a time. And if you don't tell it to only ask one question at a time, it'll give you a list of questions, and nobody wants to interact with that. Nobody wants it to be like a writing project, right? Given this information helps students understand the topic by providing explanations, examples, analogies without giving away the answer. So that's why our original question that I asked, what makes a good uh, teaching assistant? Because we're putting those qualities in here at the best that we can. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But it does a really good job. And we have a lot of great feedback from our student. They love you. We call it Spark. They love using Spark. And then, so you could not put in a digital textbook that you have adopted. Uh, that is a question for your organization. If it's a digital textbook and it's allowed to go in, then you could put it in. There's a lot of conversation about that right now because what's copyrighted, what's not copyrighted, or we know what's copyrighted or not copyrighted, but what can go into training the model versus what cannot. So we stay away from it until somebody makes a decision. If we have a digital copy and it's OER, we'll put that in uh, the our assistant, and it's not going anywhere else other than our course. None of these are publicly available. So that's why it's kind of like the Wild West right now. Uh, that helped you train. Can you share this prompt or examples, types of prompt? Yes. How would you like that shared out? Because I can
Either
absolutely.
way, if it can come out in an email or even if it can just be copied and pasted into the chat. Um, I was trying to write it down. I'm like, I can't get all this, but I love the ideas and we're moving towards adding chatbots at my department.
Oh,
And this is
outstanding.
really helpful. So, and I love your ideas and the way it's worded. So I thought that would be helpful.
Yeah. So how about I'll send it, Bob, I'll send you an email with a couple of the basic prompts that we use because we basically have the same prompt for all of our assistants. We just adjust it for whatever course or whatnot. I'll send you this prompt and then a prompt for active learning that we learned about too, which literally I'm going to share stuff with you that I learned yesterday. So it's kind of cool how this is evolving. And then here, prohibited actions, which is incredibly important. Do not generate new text stories, articles, or any other form of creative content. Do not combine or rephrase existing content to form new sentences or paragraphs. Do not provide suggestion, idea, or plans that involve the creation of new content. Do not provide examples of more than one sentence length. So we want it succinct. We want it very clear, and that helps it not to hallucinate because our assistants very rarely hallucinate. As a matter of fact, I haven't heard of them hallucinating at all, but we always have to give it that opportunity because even me, when teaching a course, I can get things wrong too. so I have to give myself that same ability to get things wrong from time to time, right? Uh, and then allowed actions right there, and then reinforcement. So it's almost like your prohibited actions, allowed actions, and then reinforcement. It's using psychology to raise a well-behaved human, right? It's almost what it is, but it's those particular actions and behaviors that are helpful for the assistant to act. Any questions about that before we move on? And then I'll show you a couple other things really quickly here. We have, let me jump back into our presentation really quick. So with our role play, oh, I'm not sharing. Let me share this out here. So with your role play, if you're going to make an assistant that role plays, you want critical rules, examples, behavior enforcement. So because a role play is very specific. So we have to get more specific. In the beginning, we talked about our course assistant where we wanted role, context, expectation, source, and the goal. Well, when we look at our role play demos or role play assistants, we want critical rules, examples, behavior enforcement. And those are kind of the critical aspects for it. So let's take a look at our demo, and I will show you those as well. Okay, so back to our Nectar bots here, and this History 204 course we just created, and we wanted to make resilient courses because if you have a discussion question or assignment, it can literally be chat in a discussion, a test of how well a student can write a prompt, and it could be a chat GPT back and forth. We don't want that. We want students to use their authentic voice. So that was a big deal for us. We write in the directions for our discussions. Your authentic voice is expected. You are not graded on grammar and spelling within the discussions because we want that authenticity within those discussions. And we are utilizing a course assistant to create that active learning within. So, for example, here's a role play. I believe this one is set up. I believe I created this one with in the American imperialism era. Get that out of the way. So let's start. And then they have instructions within the course because this is in Moodle and it's single sign-on, works really smooth. Please select a historical figure that you would like. I'll assume select some notable figures. Theodore Roosevelt. Okay, so who do we want to be? Somebody either put in the chat or holler out. Who are we going to be? Anybody? Do we like Roosevelt, Mark Twain, uh, Queen Liliuokalani? Who would you like to speak with? Anybody? Oh, we got one in chat. Okay, we're going with Twain. Okay. I want to chat with Mark Twain. I'm purposely not using caps or anything else because it doesn't matter to the system. Just to kind of illustrate that is what I did. So you've chosen to speak to me, Mark Twain. It's a pleasure to engage with you. As you may know, I'm not only a writer, a humorist, but also a vocal critic of American imperialism. Imperialism. I was particularly outspoken in the United States. What would you like to discuss? Oh, how about why were you so outspoken? What drove you? And these are just super wide questions, right? So let's see how it reacts because we always want to break it. Somebody come up with a question that might break this thing, get it out of character. I also was driven by a deep sense of of justice and belief in the principles of freedom and self-determination. I was appalled by the hypocrisy of a nation. I was particularly moved by the reports of violence and atrocities committed. What are your thoughts? So now notice, now it's engaging me within the process. So now I'm going to remember more about Mark Twain and the imperialism era because I'm engaging. And my learning is going to be that byproduct of that engagement into the concept. Moral implication of American actions during this period. What do we want to say here? I'll take the other side. So let's take the other side so we can get a kind of debate going. Um, and the nice part about this is now students can kind of have different opinions, take opposite sides, and it's going to teach them how to have a discourse when you disagree with people. And that is a skill within itself. So as we disagree, they're learning to have those disagreements and still be civil about it because we can all have our opinions, right? And then when we come together, if we discuss them, we can have better discourse and we can speak. So I think, uh, what should I say? I was particularly moving on reports. I think the reports were not accurate. Were not accurate. And I'm just going opposite so you can see what it does. We're not accurate because the Americans did a lot of good. So I'm not really thinking through that. I'm just putting it out there. And let's see what happens when we get up. Oh, I understand that there's our differing perspective. So it's teaching me. So now not only am I learning about American imperialism and Mark Twain within that, I am also learning how to have civil discourse when there's disagreement. And it continually asks me questions, questions, and questions. And this is how it's built. Excuse me. So the knowledge, notice, I don't even have it built. I didn't even put any special files in here. I opened it up to general knowledge to the LLM. The prompt is what's driving everything. You are serving as an AI course assistant that will engage in historical role play. So I'll send this one as well to everyone. And stay in character. If you don't tell it to stay in character, it will flip, flop, and go every which way. Respond as if you're interested, and then encourage deep inquiry. So notice we're telling it how to act. At least 4 exchanges, aim for rich multi-exchange conversation. Prompt students to dive deeper if they have not asked enough follow-up questions. Friendly and engaging tone. Even though you are in character, maintain a respectful educational approach. Encourage reflection rather than simply providing all the answers. Respect academic integrity. Do not complete the assignment for them. Should have probably wrote the student. Said guide them to form their own analysis. So it's actually helping. We're not, these assistants are not telling the student what to do or how to act. Then we also, my favorite one here is, and I want to say in our enrollment training for enrollment counselors, we're going to jump right in. I'm going to show you the major prompt for this. Well, you know what? Let's go back and forth. Sorry. I'm on the business program. So this is a role play where I'm going to I forget if I'm going to be a student or whatever, but we're going to go back and forth. Then after the 5th time, it's going to give feedback to me on how I did as Jamie. I'm considering enrolling in a business program, but I'm feeling a bit indecisive. Okay, so the system's going to act as an indecisive student, and we're just going to walk through a process with her. So, oh, well, how can I help you? And I'm just going to put stuff in so you could see the feedback that it's going to give me because I'm not giving very good answers or interactions. It'll probably tell me to, do better. And that's after I'm trying to decide. Oh, okay. Deciding can be difficult. It can be difficult. And then you'll see how we do this and the key here for our third prompt type or style. Oh, feeling overwhelmed. I want to make sure choose a program that will help me succeed. Ooh, so what is success? I'm not really being a very helpful enrollment counselor. I'm just asking questions, not even using motivational interviewing. I'm just asking questions because we don't want the student to feel pressure. We want them to make up their own mind. Oh, well prepared, take over my family's business and lead it. Oh, so your family has a business. Your family business, whoops, is important to you. And I'm just putting stuff down. I think, how many was that? Three. And then it's going to pause. One, two, four. Ooh. I might. Let's chat further. And then as it comes up, sure, I'm open to discussing what information do you need. So what is the family business? And what's going to happen here, it should give me feedback if I counted correctly. If not, I won't bore you with back and forth. Hmm. Come on, give me some feedback here, people. It was working as of yesterday, and I'll show you the prompt that should be working. And we'll go in and fix this today since it's not giving that. Critical rules for interaction flow. Engage in the back and forth discussion, tell who it is. Once again, it's not going to, and then pause after 5 counselor responses. Keep track of how many responses the counselor has provided. After the 5th response, immediately pause the conversation and provide feedback. That's what I was hoping it would get to here. I have to figure out why that didn't happen, but it was working really well yesterday. Maybe I just didn't count correctly. But here, I forget, William, were you the one that called out empathy? We put clarity, empathy, relevance, all right there, an example of the feedback process. So now we're giving an example. So we have the 3 hashtags, that's its priority. So top priority, critical rules. The next 3 hashtags for top priority are the examples, and then introductory response examples, and then behavior enforcement is a critical deal. Do not break character. You must keep functioning as the inquisitive student. Keep a running counter, which it did not do for some reason. I need to figure out why. But then the feedback requirement, proceed to secret. So feedback has been provided for the previous 5 inputs. So it may have been that I just didn't count because something always goes wrong when we're doing it live. And but when it gives feedback, it actually does a really good job at giving that feedback because it says, okay, you've responded in a way, and it'll give you an example of how you responded. And it'll say, that's helpful because that can, but what you may want to do is, and then it moves you in that direction there. And the knowledge that this was created with was just our program knowledge. We just downloaded everything we had for our business programs and put it right in there. So we use assistance for all of our students, course assistant, active learning within multiple courses. Every new course, we're adding that active learning component in. And then we're also for internal training, we're using our assistants all the time, pretty much constantly is how we use them. So with that, um, there is, give me one moment, let me share out one last time. So those are how we incorporate active learning. And it's worked out really well so far. We've had a lot of fantastic feedback from our students. We know that, well, we know that grades, uh, great outcomes are better when they have assistance, and they're even better when they have active learning assistants in there as well. And we know that training, we're able to get onboard people and get them engaged within their job without direct supervision much quicker through the use of these active learning training as well. Uh, so that's kind of one of the big parts here. Give me 1 second. My apologies. All right, it is missing. So let me just do one thing. So any questions while I am going to figure this out really quick for us? Any questions or comments so far?
I have another question.
Yes.
So you were just talking about how you can use these thoughts to train like onboarding for advising,
Hmm.
which I find really easy. So I think interesting for our department. Have you thought about, or is this something you think that you could use in terms of training for like affiliate faculty, folks that are new to education or new to training and getting in there and dealing with different kind of student um, interactions and being more prepared, those kinds of things? Do you see it being effective for that, or?
I love that question because um, what we literally just started doing is, excuse me, what we literally just started doing is we have what we call the AI Center. And anybody here, I can put up a QR code, can join that center. We have a live discussion once a week, once a month, and there's all sorts of other stuff there. But I just started creating that training. I don't know how well it's going to work yet because we haven't even sent it out, but we're creating that for our faculty members, and one of the first one is interactions within a uh, discussion forum on how to interact with students to make it more engaging. So I don't know how it's going to work. I have high hopes for it because I've seen it work in other places, but we're literally using the assistant to conduct that training for the faculty. We have a lot of adjunct faculty, so full-time faculty already use it for some training. Now we're going to roll it out to adjunct faculty as well. So I'm as curious as you are of how that's going to work. I have super high hopes. How do you think it's going to work if it's been working so far? Do you see use cases for it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I am in social work, and so a lot of our discussions there's that kind of underlying nuance. And I mean, I'm just thinking for therapy, being able to do role plays with a bot, and doing therapy with clients, again, and with training. I think particularly for our instructors, our adjunct, we call them affiliate. They really do they just come across so many different scenarios and feel very underprepared at times because they don't get the same training we do, right? They're not full-time
Right.
faculty. They're not engaged in, education as much as we are. And so we've really been looking like, how do we improve this process? We've implemented some mentoring and things, but I'm like, oh, you could actually have a bot do mentoring in this way and help with that. And just what a time saver it would be. I mean, I'd still want that human to human piece with it. And how much time it could save to be able to run through scenarios and role play um, without needing another person to provide that time. I mean, what a resource saver.
Right. Yeah, 100%. And one thing that's kind of interesting that I've found when, at least towards students at this point. So I teach as well. And what I found is that I'm having better conversations with students because they've utilized Spark first. So now they're coming at me with deeper questions and we're having a more engaged discussion. So all the stuff like, hey, when's the discussion due or when's this assignment due? I don't even get those questions anymore. Spark, and this is what we use for Spark, and for our MSIDT program, we have Desi, who's our designer, that helps people create the projects that they have to make. So it's actually created a bridge for conversation with me on with students that may not reach out. It's given them a little bit more confidence, a little bit higher levels of efficacy to reach out to the prof because that can be intimidating, right? So
Yeah.
it's taken some of that intimidation factor away by giving them practice, which I thought was super cool.
Well, I love this. Thank you so much for your time today, and I will definitely be following you and probably reaching out in the future.
Oh, and my email's down here, so I'll send the prompts to Bob, and then he can disseminate them. But if you want to contact me, feel free to just reach directly out to me. I'll share anything with you. No worries. Oh, you're welcome. Oh, is it? Man, our time went fast. I'm sorry. That went. How do you encourage students to strike that balance using Spark versus coming to you? Oh, okay. So Spark handles all the questions of, when's this due? What's that? And they'll engage with content as well. And then they actually end up coming to me more often with deeper questions. So it's kind of cool. I didn't create that, but the whole system that's what ended up happening, which was a nice outcome because we were concerned as well that it would look like we're trying to replace that human to human connection where we're not. We look at the whole thing as what we call a radically student-centered support system. So Spark in our case is just a support system for the student, one part of the support system for the student. The faculty is still the primary driver, but we have like student success. So we have success coaches for students as well that need them. So uh, the human touch has not been removed. It's actually been enhanced a little bit, which was cool. So thanks everybody. Appreciate all that all that we went through, and I hope that this was meaningful for us because we're having a lot of cool success with it.
Yeah, I think you see that everyone's really impressed and interested about this. And I know early efforts like this really didn't provide much information or guidance to students. It just kind of was general stuff and really wasn't worth it. But if you can provide deeper things, then it makes a difference.
Yeah, and that's the whole point. Make the difference. That's the whole deal. Yeah, I agree.
Art, hey, I really thank you for doing it.
Well, thanks for having me, Bob. Appreciate it.